Welcome back to another great episode of How to Draw. Today we're going to work on Baloo, a great character from the Jungle Book. So grab your pencil, your eraser, your paper, and let's draw. I'm set up here with a square border, as you can see, and a very light reference point, which is a cross right in the middle of my square. That reference point is going to help me get started on some of my simplified shapes. Alright, so I'm going to start out with a circle, but before I draw the circle I want to figure out how big it is. So I'm going to come down from my border a fairly short distance, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line like this. And this horizontal line is going to represent where I think the top of my circle is going to be. Okay, at its closest point, my circle is going to be over here, and I'm going to judge my distance from my right border, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to draw a vertical line like this, representing the side of my circle. And then I'm going to take a look at my reference point, which is my cross right here. I'm going to come down just a little bit below it, and about right here I'm going to draw another horizontal line. Okay, and then finally I'm going to draw over here, somewhere in this area about right here, I'm going to draw another vertical line. So as you can see, I've created a type of square, as you can see here. And what I want to do is I want to draw a circle that touches the four sides of my square. Okay, so I'm going to draw it nice and light and loose. And I'm going to sketch in a circle for the head of Baloo the bear. Now I like to go nice and slow on these beginning steps, because if I think if I take my time, it's going to be a lot easier and things are going to work out a lot better for me. It saves time in the long run to be patient at the beginning. So as you can see, I've gone around this several times. I don't want it to be too dark, but I need you to be able to see it here on this demonstration. Okay, now I really like the size of my circle, where it is on my piece of paper, and I'm feeling pretty good about it, and I'm ready to move on. If my circle's not quite perfectly round, I just go around that again, so it kind of grows and becomes the right shape. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where the center of his face is. So if I look at my reference point cross, I'm going to go just a little bit to the left, and I'm going to put a little mark right here. And I'm going to draw this curving line that goes kind of from the bottom to the top of my circle. And this will show me where the center of his face is. And remember, whenever you put a curving line on a circle, like you see me doing here, that circle becomes a sphere or a ball, which is a three-dimensional shape. Okay, so the center of my face is going to be somewhere here. Okay, then I want to draw across my circle, just about in the middle of it, something about right here, and I'm going to draw another curving line. Now I don't want this to be a straight line, but I want it to be a curving line like this going across my circle, more or less dividing my circle in half. And this line is going to represent where the bottom of the eyes are. Okay, very good. It's looking great so far. Got my nice circle, and I've got two lines to help me draw. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is I want to draw the snout of Baloo the bear. Now it's going to be really close to my border, so I'm going to put a vertical mark somewhere over here, really close to my border line, giving me a small negative space between my line and my border. So I'm thinking somewhere over here like this. Okay, great. Now, here comes the hard one. I'm going to try to judge how far from the bottom of my border is the bottom of his snout. So I'm going to make a judgment, and I'm thinking somewhere here. Okay, now that gives me enough information to start drawing his snout. Okay, so I'm going to start over here at the side of his head. I'm going to curve over. I'm going to curve downwards. I'm going to hit my mark that I made right there, and that's going to give me the top of the snout of Baloo. Okay, then I'm going to come over here to this other side. I'm going to follow my circle downward, and then I'm going to break away from it like this. I'm going to curve downward, outward, going to hit my mark over here, and as you can see with the motion of my pencil, I'm going to try to connect like this to give me the snout of my bear. Okay, went over that kind of light. I'll go over it a little bit darker so you can see it really well. But it's always a good idea to keep your drawing as light as possible. Okay, and I'm feeling pretty good about this snout shape for Baloo. Alright, next thing I want to do, I'm going to draw an oval over here for his ear. Now, part of it's going to go inside my circle, so I'm going to kind of mark that here with a line. It's going to be about this close to my border with a small negative space. It's at about the same height as my head, so somewhere over here. And I think I'm just going to start sketching that in. Nice oval shape like this. Maybe just a little bit taller right there. And I'll bring that around. Here's the bottom of it, something like this. Once again, nice and light, loose, sketchy. We're just trying to find the size and proportion of this shape. Okay, and that's going to be for the ear of Baloo. Okay, now there's an interesting shape kind of on the top and to the side of his head for his hair. Okay, so I'm going to come up from his snout about this far, and I'm going to put a little mark, a little line that's slanting up, like that. I'm going to make that line about this long right here. Then I'm going to change direction, going upward a short distance, about like that. Okay. Then I'm going to come over here to the back of his head, and this shape's going to go up, above his head, and then curve downward. Do you see how light I did that? Okay, and I'm going to go over that just a little bit darker so you can see it well. But as I mentioned previously, you want to keep your drawing as light as you can. Okay, and this shape is for some of the hair that Baloo has. And we're going to fill up that shape with that hair a little bit later. Okay, excellent. All right, his jaw, his chin. Now I'm going to look down here to my bottom border, and it's going to be quite close. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line that is quite close to my bottom border, something like this. Once again, I'm kind of judging my negative space, and I want that to be close to my bottom border. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the side of his head, the side of the circle here, and I'm going to begin to curve downward, nice and light, like this, until I hit my line about there. And this will be for the side of his jaw. Okay, now if I was to drop down a vertical line from the side of his head, maybe about right here, that would tell me the approximate location right there for the side of that jaw. It lines up just about with the side of his head. Now that's very helpful. And then from here I'm just going to slant in just a little bit, slanting in to the right, coming down, curving just a little bit, and this will give me my jaw. Now once again, I want that jaw to be rounded at the bottom. I need his chin to be rounded, and there we go. Alright, just a couple more things to do. Now I'm going to draw part of his neck. It's going to start right here on the side of his head, kind of right here near the bottom of his ear, about right there. Okay, like that. And then I want to put a mark for me to go to right down here, kind of near the corner of my border. I'm going to put a mark that's about right there. Okay, and then I'm going to draw this curving line that curves downward. I don't want it to be straight. I want it to be curvy. I want to get it kind of close to my border, and I'll curve down, drawing right towards my mark like that. Okay, and that's going to give me the neck of Baloo. Okay, one more line to draw. I'm going to do one right here like this. I'm going to come down his jaw about this far, like that, and then I'll just draw downward, out, just a little bit curving, down over here, something like this. Okay, now that gives me the simplified shapes for Baloo the bear, and I'm ready to add my details. So let's go ahead and start in with the eyes. So what I want to do is I'm going to look here at this line here, which is showing me the center of the face, and I want to put one eye on one side of the line and the second eye on the other. Okay, let's start here with this eye on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing in a straight up and down vertical line right here. Okay, that's going to be the side of the eye. The bottom of the eye, I'm going to slant downward like this, about that far, and then this line will continue into my simplified shape for the snout. Okay, now Baloo has relatively small eyes, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go ahead and draw in the top eyelash of his eyes. Just a curving line here at the top that curves over about like that. Okay, just inside that, just a little bit to the right, I'll sketch in the actual side of the eye. We'll come down, we want to make sure this has a nice curve to it, and we'll come down here and this will give us the shape of the eye, just like that. Okay, inside here we've got a pupil, so I'm going to put a mark about right here, and it's going to come down about right here. See those two marks I made? I'm going to go ahead and draw in a nice curving line, just like that. Okay, and that gives me the pupil of the eye. I'm going to go ahead and shade that in real quick, not dark, just with some light gray shading. Okay, then right above the eye there's a little wrinkle for his eyelid, and I want to put that in also, just nice and curving just above that eye. Okay, while I'm over here I'm going to draw the side of his face real quick. Okay, so right here on the outside of my circle, about here I'm going to draw a line not quite touching the eyelid, coming up here like that. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a slanted line slanting downward like this, stopping when I hit my simple shape for his snout. Okay, and that is eyelid number 1. Okay, now these eyes are about straight across from each other, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick sketch line here. From the top of one eye, just drawing across my piece of paper. Then I'm going to draw an important line here that starts about right here. It's going to slant downward, and I'll draw that down like this, about that far, as you can see. Okay, then I'm going to draw a wrinkle that is going to be in front of his eye. I'm going to go down this line about this far. I'm going to draw over towards the right. Oh, about right there. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to draw these two eyes quite close together. I'm going to bring this up, touch my mark that I made right there, and I'll put a mark about here, and I've got this nice oval shape for eye number 2, just like that. Okay, same thing. There's a little eyelash. I'm going to keep on going here, curve around, and right there I've got the eyelash. Okay, pupil. It's going to touch about right there and about right here. And again, I'll just draw a nice smooth curve like this for the pupil. And just like I did on eye number 1, I'll quickly shade that in with some light gray shading. Okay, I can't forget my eyelid wrinkle. Again, that's going to be above his eye, curving down, getting a little bit closer to the eye like that. And there we go. Okay, nice. All right, let's work on a snout. So I have this line coming over here touching a snout, and I have this line curving up. And I'm going to just follow my simplified shape because I think that's pretty good. I'm going to follow this down until I get to a spot about right here. Now, do you see how I'm making that a little bit darker for you? Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Okay, now I'm going to draw his nose. Now, he's got a very large nose. I'm going to change direction here. I'm going to go out and about right here like this. Okay, now what's hard about this, it's going to curve across his snout, and I'm going to bring that over to a spot that's about right here, and that'll be the end of his nose. Okay, now his nose shape is kind of like a rounded triangle. So I'm going to bring that down. I'll come down like this near the bottom of my simplified shape. So there I have one side. And then I'll kind of round that here at the bottom. And I want to curve over like that. It gives me that kind of rounded triangle, as you can see, for the nose. Now, to make the nose look a little more three-dimensional, I'm going to draw the top and the side. So the way I do that, I'm just going to come in here and draw like this, coming over, curving over to a spot about right there. That'll kind of show me the top of that nose, and then it's going to curve down like this, and it's going to come together down here at the bottom. Okay, so that kind of shows me here the front. This will be the side area, and we have the top right here. Okay, so there we have the nose of Baloo. Okay, now I like to kind of put this drawing together like a puzzle. So if I have this nose, and I think it's pretty good, then I'm just going to come down here to the bottom of it. I'm going to draw a line that's not quite straight. I'm going to draw it down about to the bottom of my simplified shape, about right there. Okay, here's the side of my nose. On the side of my nose, I'm going to come down to a spot about right here, and I'm going to draw downward like that. Okay, then from this line, I'm going to slant down about this far, as you can see, and then I'll just kind of connect those together, and this will give me part of his muzzle, as you can see right there. Okay, that's looking great. All right, let's do the other side of his muzzle. So from here I'm going to slant downward. Now this section is going to be about twice as long as this one, so something about right here looks about right, like about right there. Okay, then it's going to start to curve upwards. Alright, now I'm going to leave that alone for a moment. I'm going to come back here to the eye. Remember this line I drew right here? I like that. Okay, so what I need to do now is I'm going to draw over to the right a gently curving line that's about this long. Okay, very good. From here, now I'm going to draw the bottom of his snout. Okay, now this is a little bit tricky, so I just sketch really lightly. I'll slant down like this, maybe to a spot a little below my circle, and then I'm going to draw and connect just like that. And you see how lightly I did that? Let me go over that again, just a little bit darker for you. So I'll sketch that down like this, and I'll curve this over just like that. Okay, and that gives me the bottom of his snout. Okay, that's looking fantastic. All right, back here I'm going to draw the side of his mouth. So that's going to slant down like this, and I'm going to draw this down here very close to my simple shape line for his jaw, which I have right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw that. I'll come down like this. I'll basically just follow this line here. My simple shape was really good. Run into that. I'm just going to draw over this again. My simple shape once again. Very nice. Put just a little bit of a curve into this, and I'll come up to a spot right there. Okay, now that gives me the outside of his jaw. Okay, let's continue. So I'm going to touch up just a little bit right here with my eraser, like that. Alright, so right here I'm going to draw the inside of his mouth. So starting here, I'm just going to come down, doubling this line. Doubling the line means to draw the line the same angle, same curve, slightly different position. Okay, so I'll come down here. I'll stop about there. Okay, same thing down here. I'm going to double this line here, a little bit higher. We'll come up right here, begin to curve like that. Now, one of the things I like to do when I draw is I want to know where I'm going to go to. So if I come up here, come down from this corner, I'll put a mark right there. That is where I want to go to. So I want to connect here to here with a fairly straight line like that. I'm just going to draw right towards my mark. See how lightly I did that? Then I'll come down. I'm going to go over that just a little bit darker like this. And that'll give me the inside of his mouth. Okay. Alright, it's looking pretty good. Now down here, I left off a little detail. I'll come back here to the end of his jaw, and I'm going to put a dot about right there. Okay, now that dot, that's where I want to go to. So from here, I'm going to go towards that dot like this. Okay, you see how lightly I did that? Okay, let's draw over that just a little bit darker. And I'll sketch right there to my dot. That looks pretty good. Okay, now over here I want to make a small change. I'm going to come here, and this line here was pretty good to start, but I'm going to bend it in just a little bit more. Like that. Okay, then with my eraser, I'll just take off this line right there. Alright, that's looking really good. Okay, next thing I want to do, I want to draw his tongue. Now, for that, I'm going to choose a spot that's about straight across from this dot. I'll go straight across to the left, and I want to start his tongue about right there. Okay, now oftentimes on these Disney characters, the tongue is separated into two parts. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw down like this, and this is the first half of his tongue, and I'll go down about that far. Okay. Then for the second half of the tongue, I'll come over here like about this far down this line. I'll come over here like this. I'll come out, and then I want to come down. I'm going to put a mark so I know where I'm going to, like right there. Okay, so then I'll draw down like this. I'm going to make this line just a little bit curvy so it's not too straight, right down to my mark, right there, just like that. Okay, excellent. That's looking really good. All right, he's got two teeth we need to put on. Okay, so down here in the corner, I'm going to draw a triangle that goes up about this far. Make it a little bit rounded, not too pointy at the tip. We'll have it come down like that and touch his mouth right there. Okay. Now the second one is going to start right here in the corner. It's going to come up. It's going to be in front of his tongue. It's going to be about straight across from my first tooth. I'm going to put a little line right there. And then it's going to come in front of this tooth. It's going to come in front of this tongue just like that. And I'll curve down. And there we go. Then I've got to erase this tongue inside of my tooth. Okay, looking good. Now, let's put on a little detail here. Now over here, we're going to be able to see the other side of his jaw. It's really easy. I'll just put a mark about right here, and I'll curve downward, just like this. And that is the other side of his jaw. Okay, this simple shape looks really good. I'm just going to draw over that a little bit darker. And this is part of his neck, curving down like that. Okay, Baloo is looking really good. All right, let's continue. It's time for some eyebrows. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is come to the side of his head. I'm going to curve up and over and into this head about that far. And then I'm going to draw this little loop right here like this. And this will be eyebrow number 1. Okay, while I'm here, I'm just going to quickly shade that in with some gray shading. Okay, eyebrow number 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare the 2 eyebrows. This second eyebrow is a little bit higher. So I'm going to draw a slanted line from this eyebrow corner, slanting up about right there to that spot right there. Okay, that looks good. Okay, then I'm going to draw a curving line that's going to curve down. And I want that to curve down like this. Keep it curving. And I'm going to go down about that far. Okay, let's add some thickness to it. This will curve over and come to a gentle point right there. Okay, it looks a little funny to have those eyebrows connected, so I'm going to erase just like that. And I'm going to fill in this eyebrow here with some light gray shading once again. Okay, looking great. All right. Let's move over to the ear. Now, this simple shape is awesome. It shows me the size of the ear. It's a simplified version. Let's add some detail. Okay, so right here, I'm going to draw over this, and I'm going to come out, up and over, and I'm going to draw a hair spike, a curving shape like that. That is hair spike number 1. Okay, hair spike number 2, curving over, out, curve that back in, right there. Hair spike number 3, curving out, over, like that. Stop right there. Go back with it to give that nice curving shape. Okay, then all I need to do is kind of sketch over the outside of my simple shape for his ear. I'll bring that down, bring it up, and I'll stop right there where it connects to his head. Okay, so you notice those 3 hair spikes on the ear. All right, next I'm going to come down his head shape to a spot about right there. That's around, about the middle of that oval or so. Okay, and I'm going to draw up, out, over, and I'm going to draw to a location right there. That is part of the inside of his ear. Okay. It's going to overlap, so I'm going to start right here. I'm going to draw this down so it's thicker here, and as it comes toward the side of the ear, that space is going to get a little bit skinnier until I stop, about right there. Okay, let's put on a couple details. I'm going to bring the bottom of the ear up, almost touching, and I'll stop right there. Okay. Now we have 4 hair details on the inside of the ear. They're super easy. I'll start my first one right here. I'll just draw a little curving line, curving up, getting close. Stop right there. That's hairline number 1. Hair number 2, close, get a little further away, right there like that. That looks good. Number 3 is more straight across, horizontal but still curving. I'll curve that out like that. And my last one will curve downward like this, coming down, getting close to the bottom of my ear, but not touching. Okay, so you notice those 4 hair details in the ear. Okay. let's work over here. Let's continue over here and let's finish off his jaw hairs. All right, so right here, I'm going to draw downward down this neckline. Oh, I'm going to draw down about this far. See that distance? Then I'm going to curve up, making it very sharp, this very sharp hair point, like that. Hair point number 2, curving down like this, curving towards my jaw, stopping, coming up like this. Hair spike number 2. Number 3, I'll get this coming downward like this, right there, and I'll stop right there. Okay, now don't be confused here. I'm going to finish off this last hair spike like this. I'll touch that line right there. I'm going to curve that down. I'm going to get pretty close to his jaw, right there, that far, and I'll stop. Okay, his neck, I'm going to start that right here, and then I'm just going to pretty much follow my simple shape line like this, curving downward, making sure this line is curving instead of straight, coming down right towards my bottom border. Okay, excellent. All right, we got to put on some hair. We still have this simple shape up here we got to deal with. We've got to put on some hair. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, look at this eyebrow, and I'm going to draw upwards following my simplified shape for his head. I'm going to go up, and I'll stop right there. Okay, good. Then I'm going to come back here to his ear, and I'm going to draw from his ear upwards like this to a spot right there, and I'm going to put a dot there. Okay, now judge this distance from the bottom of his ear to this dot. And then once you've judged that, take your eraser out and erase that line so you're just left with this dot. Okay, so this dot, I'm going to take it from here. It's going to touch here, and then it's also going to touch right here where I put this other dot. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 with a nice curve. Okay, so I'll draw like this. I'm going to curve up, hit my first spot right there. I'm going to curve down like this, right towards my dot, and I'll stop right there. Once I have this curving line for this big piece of hair, I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to erase this simple shape line right there. Okay, awesome. Now, let me show you again. I'm going to draw by comparison. What I'm going to do is this line touches my hairline right here. I'm going to come up, slant that, and I'm going to put another dot right there. Okay, then I'm going to erase that little line. Okay, then I'm going to draw from here to here, and it's going to be a nice, thin, triangle shape for that piece of hair right there. Okay, looking good. All right, at the end of my simple shape, I'm going to put another dot. And I'm going to erase this vertical type line right there. Okay, so then I'm going to connect from here to here with a nice curving line like this. Okay, good. Then I'm going to take this mark here, I'm going to slant it upwards and to the left right there. I'll put another dot there. I'll then erase that line. So you can see that little dot right there. I'm going to go from here to that dot, basically following this simple shape line right there. Okay, looking good. Now, this next one's pretty easy. It's really short. I'm just going to draw out a short distance right there, and I'm going to stop. Okay, now I want that piece to connect to a spot that's about right here. I'm going to draw here like this, a slanted line to that spot right there. See that dot again? I'll erase my slanted line. Then I'm going to draw like this right towards my dot. Right there. Gives me a nice piece of hair. Okay, I'm still working on hair. From here, I'm going to slant up, keeping it really close to my line about this far. I will stop. Okay. And then, remember this mark here? I'm going to go upwards and to the right just a little, and I'll put a dot right there, and I'll erase that line right there. Okay, and now I just want to connect the end of this line to my dot with a nice, smooth curve like that. Okay, very good. There's just one more piece of hair. Okay, from here, I'm just going to curve upwards, not too far, kind of short, right there. And then I'm going to connect down just behind the ear, right there. And I want this to be curving down just like that, like that. Now, that hair was complicated. Okay, just a couple things we need to do. We're going to need a couple whisker dots. Okay, so let's come over here to this snout section right here. And I'm going to put a little circle right here, not too big. Whisker dot number 1. Up to the left, whisker dot number 2. Okay. Now on this part of the snout, we need that as well. Okay, so I'm going to come over and I'm going to put whisker dot number 1 here. Number 2 here. Number 3 right there. Okay. Then I'm going to come down from whisker dot number 2 about right there. That is whisker dot number 4. And coming down, whisker dot number 5. Okay. All right. Now the last thing I want to do to wrap up this drawing is I just want to do some quick light gray shading within this mouth shape. Okay, so I'm just going to do that real quick like this. Just this nice light gray shading to give a little bit of depth. Now later, when I'm finalizing my drawing, I can go back, I can make it a little darker, a little more complete. But for right now, just some light gray shading. I'll try to fill in some of those spots just a little bit like that, right there. Okay, that's looking good. So, if you've worked with me, you should have a very nice drawing of Baloo. Now, what you should do now is you should take your eraser and you should erase all of your simple shape construction vines, so you just have some very nice lines that you drew for Baloo from the Jungle Book. Thanks for working with me, and have a great day.